It is the one thing that even a king cannot escape. We are told there are only two certainties in life, death and taxes, and today, the latter has come knocking on the heavy oak doors of Balmoral Castle with a vengeance. For centuries, the monarchy has existed in a unique sphere, protected by tradition, protected by privilege, and protected by the understanding that the sovereign is the state, and the state does not tax itself. But the winds of change are blowing through Westminster, and they are carrying a chill that is settling right into the bones of King Charles III. We have received intelligence regarding a new government plan, a financial raid that is set to target the most private sacred sanctuaries of the royal family. This isn't about the palaces you see on postcards. This is about the homes where the king goes to weep, to rest, and to be a father. A new bill is coming, a mansion tax, that threatens to treat the monarch not as a ruler, but as just another wealthy landlord. And while the sums involved might seem like small change to a billionaire, the symbolism is catastrophic. It marks the end of the special arrangement. It marks the moment the government decided that the king is fair game. Welcome back to the channel, the only place where we follow the money to find the truth about the monarchy. We don't just look at the jewels, we look at the ledger. If you believe that the king contributes more to this country than any politician ever could, and you are tired of seeing the royals squeezed while others get a free ride, smash that subscribe button right now. We need to talk about Chancellor Rachel Reeves, the new high-value council tax surcharge, and what this means for the future of the House of Windsor. Let's get into the details of this financial shockwave. Earlier this month, the Chancellor outlined new tax plans that are sending shivers through the property market, but specifically through the corridors of the royal residences. The government is introducing a high-value council tax surcharge, which the press has already dubbed the mansion tax. It targets residences worth more than £2 million. Now, the government states that fewer than 1% of properties in England are expected to be above this threshold. They are targeting the elite. They are targeting the super rich, but in casting this wide net, they have caught the biggest fish of all, His Majesty the King. You see, most people don't realize that the King's property portfolio is split into two very distinct categories. There are the Crown Estate properties, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, Kensington Palace. These don't belong to Charles the man. They belong to the sovereign. They are held in trust for the nation. But then, there are the private residences. The homes that were passed down from Queen Victoria to Queen Elizabeth, and now to Charles. We are talking about the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, the place where the family gathers for Christmas, the place where the late Queen passed her final winter days, and we are talking about Balmoral Castle in Scotland, the place where Her Majesty took her last breath. These are not state museums, these are private assets, and under the new rules, these multi-million-pound sanctuaries fall squarely into the mansion tax category. The details of the tax are specific. The recurring annual charge will be based on the property's value in 2026, but it won't come into force until April 2028. It is a slow-moving storm. It will be an additional fee on top of the existing council tax liability, featuring 4 different tiers. For the lowest band of £2 million, there is a £2,500 fee. But for properties worth over £5 million, and let's be honest, Balmoral and Sandringham are worth vastly more than that, owners can expect to pay up to £7,500 per property. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. £7,000, that's nothing to a king. And financially, you are right. It won't bankrupt the Duchy of Lancaster, but this is where you have to look deeper. This is where you have to understand the insider perspective. It is not about the cost, it is about the precedent. David Little, a partner in financial planning at the wealth management firm Evelyn Partners, hit the nail on the head. He told us that this proposed levy doesn't have any carve-outs or tax breaks for wealthy owners just because they are royal. Read that again. No carve-outs, no special treatment. Little explains that this is a political and perceptual shift. He says, the monarchy has long operated with special tax arrangements, but the new rules treat their high-value property ownership like any other owner. This is the seismic shift. For 1,000 years, the king was the exception. Now he is just any other owner. It is a move to normalize the monarchy, to strip away the mystique, and to treat Balmoral Castle the same way you would treat a footballer's mansion in Cheshire. It suggests that the new government sees the king not as a constitutional necessity to be protected, but as a source of revenue to be tapped. And there is a looming question mark over the rest of the portfolio. It is still unclear whether residences under the Crown Estate and the Duchy of Cornwall will also be affected by this bill. We may not know the full extent of the damage until the 2028 Sovereign Grant Report is released. That report is the document that clearly outlines all royal expenses, the one time a year the curtain is pulled back on the finances. But here is the twist that makes this story truly fascinating, and it involves the contrast between King Charles and his eldest son, Prince William. While the media loves to paint the royals as leeches who take, the reality is very different. King Charles, in particular, has been incredibly transparent, perhaps too transparent, about his contributions. Did you know that it is not a legal requirement for the monarch to pay any tax? Technically, the king is exempt. The crown cannot tax the crown, but Charles, understanding the mood of the nation and being a man of integrity, pays voluntarily, and he pays a lot. In the 2024-2025 report, it was revealed that His Majesty paid a staggering £1.9 million in rates and council tax, nearly £2 million, voluntarily. He writes that check because he believes in contributing to the services that his subjects use. He pays for the roads, the police, the schools, just like you and me, even though the law says he doesn't have to. This completely destroys the narrative pushed by the anti-monarchists and, let's be honest, by the Sussex squad. They love to claim that the royals are a drain on the economy, but here is the king, handing over millions from his private income. But then we look at Prince William, and this is where the intrigue deepens. While Charles is publishing his tax bill for the world to see, the Prince of Wales has chosen a different path. He has chosen the path of silence. The report reveals that Prince William has opted not to disclose how much he pays. He has kept his tax bill secret. Why? Is he hiding something? Or is he simply drawing a line in the sand regarding his privacy? His private secretary, Ian Patrick, issued a short, sharp statement. The Prince of Wales pays the highest rate of income tax. That's it. No numbers, no breakdown, just a statement of fact. I pay the top rate. Back off. This contrast in strategy is fascinating. Charles is the open-book monarch, trying to appease the public by showing his receipts. William is the fortress prince, fulfilling his legal and moral duties, but refusing to let the public rummage through his wallet. It shows a steeliness in William. He is saying, I will do my duty, but I will not perform for you. I will not apologize for my wealth. It also protects him. If he released a number, people would argue it wasn't enough. If he paid $10 million, they would say it should be 20. By keeping it private, he avoids the debate entirely. It is a smart modern strategy, even if it frustrates the prying eyes of the press. But let's zoom out and look at the mansion tax again through the lens of the spare. We cannot talk about royal finances without talking about the couple who demand the perks without the payment. King Charles is facing a new tax bill on his private homes. He is paying nearly $2 million in council tax. Prince William is paying the highest rate of income tax on the Duchy of Cornwall. They are contributing. They are embedded in the British system. Meanwhile, where is Prince Harry? He is in Montecito, living in a mansion that would certainly trigger a mansion tax if it were in the UK. But is he paying into the British system? No. He is fighting the British government in court to get more money for his security. He is suing the Home Office to force the taxpayer to protect him. The contrast is nauseating. You have the king voluntarily paying millions into the pot. And you have the Duke of Sussex trying to take millions out of the pot for his own bodyguards. If this new mansion tax is about fairness, as the Chancellor claims, then perhaps we should be looking at a non-resident royal tax. Perhaps we should be sending a bill to California for the chaos and the legal fees that the Sussexes have inflicted on the UK. But back to Balmoral. The idea that the king has to pay a surcharge on the castle where his mother died feels intrusive. Balmoral is not an asset he bought on the open market. It is a burden and a blessing he inherited. It is a place of history. To tax it like a luxury penthouse in Mayfair ignores the cultural significance of the property. It treats the custodian of history as a mere consumer of square footage. And let's look at the timing. April 2028. That gives the king 3 years to prepare. True, too. But it also gives the government 3 years to turn the screw tighter. If they can tax Balmoral today, what will they tax tomorrow? Will they tax the crown jewels? Will they tax the royal art collection? David Little's warning about the perceptual shift is the key. Once you start treating the king like any other owner, you erode the mystique. If the king is just a taxpayer, why do we bow? If the king is just a landlord, why do we sing the anthem? The monarchy relies on being set apart. It relies on being special. This tax drags them down into the mundane reality of bureaucracy. And while fair taxation is important, there is a danger in stripping away the special status of the head of state. It makes the institution vulnerable, and we must ask, is this punishment? Is this a labor government flexing its muscles against the establishment? By targeting high-value homes, they know exactly who they are hitting. They are hitting the aristocracy, they are hitting the old money, and the king is the ultimate symbol of old money. But Charles, to his eternal credit, hasn't complained. He hasn't issued a statement through a spokesperson saying he is shocked and hurt. He hasn't gone on Oprah to cry about his tax bill. He has simply opened the ledger, revealed his payments, and carried on. This is the resilience of the generation that was raised by Elizabeth II. You pay your dues, you do your duty, and you don't whine about the cost. However, the financial pressure is real. Maintaining these historic properties is astronomically expensive. The roof at Sandringham, the heating at Balmoral, these are money pits. Adding a mansion tax on top of the maintenance costs effectively penalizes the king for preserving the nation's heritage. If he sold Balmoral to a developer to turn into a hotel, he would save a fortune, but he keeps it because it is part of the soul of the kingdom. This story also highlights the transparency of the current reign. We know about the 1.9 million because Charles told us. He is trying to build trust. He is trying to show that the firm is a value for money proposition. But I worry about the precedent this sets for William. When William becomes king, will he be forced to open his books? Will the mansion tax be doubled by then? Will the government of the future decide that the Duchy of Cornwall should be confiscated entirely? The mansion tax is the thin end of the wedge. It starts with a few £1,000s on a castle. It ends with the dismantling of the financial independence of the crown. And if the crown loses its financial independence, it loses its ability to act without political interference. Imagine a world where the king cannot afford to go to Balmoral because the taxes are too high. Imagine a world where Sandringham is sold off because the surcharge makes it unviable. That is the world this policy pushes us towards. And while the anti-monarchists will cheer, they forget that these estates support local communities. They employ hundreds of people. They drive tourism. They are engines of the rural economy. Squeezing the king squeezes the community around him. So, as we look at the headlines about Charles's big bill, let's not just see numbers. Let's see the strategy. The government is signaling a change in the relationship between Downing Street and Buckingham Palace. They are saying, you are no longer special. But to us, the king is special, and the fact that he pays his millions voluntarily proves that he honors his contract with the people. I want to know what you think about this mansion tax. Is it fair that the king has to pay extra tax on his private homes like Balmoral? Or do you think the monarchy should be exempt because of the service they provide? And what do you make of Prince William keeping his tax bill secret? Is he right to protect his privacy, or should he be as open as his father? And finally, does reading about Charles paying $1.9 million in tax make you even more angry about the security demands coming from non-tax-paying Prince Harry? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a debate about the future of the monarchy's independence, and I want to hear your voice. Don't forget to like this video to support the king who pays his way, and subscribe to the channel for the truth behind the ledger. Until next time, keep your eyes on the palace.